on the subject of tact to express to Claire on the way home, but she, who had always smiled, who had been the obedient guest, shrugged and snapped, "They're idiots, those young women. They're impertinent shop girls in good frocks. I like your Seattle. It's a glorious city. And I love so many of the fine, simple, real people I've met here. I admire your progress. I do know how miraculously you've changed it from a mining camp. But for heaven's sake, don't forget the good common hardiness of the miners. Somehow, London's social distinctions seem ludicrous in American cities that 20 years ago didn't have much but board sidewalks and saloons. I don't care whether it's Seattle or Minneapolis or Omaha or Denver. I refuse to worry about the Duchess of Corey and the Baroness Betts and all the other wonderful imitations of gilt. When a pair of finishing school flappers like Betts and Corey try to impress me with their superiority to workmen and their extreme aristocracy and Easternness, they make me tired. I am the East." She had made peace with the Gilsons by night. She had been reasonably repentant about not playing the game of her hosts, but inside her eager heart she snuggled a warm thought. She remembered how gaily she had once promised, out on the road, to come to Milt's room and cook for him. She thought of it with homesick desire. His room probably wasn't particularly decorative, and she doubted his having an electric range, but it would be fun to fry eggs again, to see him fumbling with the dishwashing, to chatter and plan golden futures and not worry about the opinions of Mrs. Corey and Mrs. Betts. The next afternoon the limousine was not busy, and she borrowed it with the handsome Greek chauffeur. She gave him an address not far from the university. He complained, "Pardon me, miss, but I think you have the wrong number. That block is a low quarter." "Probably, but that's the right number." He raised his Athenian eyebrows, and she realized what a mistake she had made in not bringing the lethal tea strainer along. When they had stopped in front of a cheap candy store, he opened the door of the car with such frigid reserve that she thought seriously about slapping him. She climbed the stingy, flapping stairs and knocked at the first door in the upper hall. It was opened by a large apron, to which a sleepy woman was an unimportant attachment, and out of the mass of apron and woman came a yawning, "Mr. Daggett's room is down the hall on the right." Claire knocked at a door which had, at various epochs, been blue, yellow, and pink, and now it was all three. No answer. She tried the knob, went in. She could not tell whether it was the barrenness of the room, or Milt's carefulness which caught her. The uncarpeted boards of the floor were well swept. He had only one plate, one spoon, but they were scoured and put away on newspaper-covered shelves in a cupboard made of a soap box. Behind a calico curtain was his new suit, dismayingly neat on its hanger. On the edge of the iron sink, primly washed and spread out to dry, was a tattered old rag. At the sight of it, at the thought of Milt solemnly washing dishes, the tears began to creep to her eyes. There was but one picture in the room, a half-tone of a girl, clipped from a magazine devoted to actresses. The name was cut off. As she wondered at it, Claire saw that the actress was very much like herself. The only other ornament was a papier-mâché figure of a cat reminiscent of the Lady Vere de Vere. Claire picked it up. On the bottom was the price mark, 3 cents. It was the price mark that pierced her. She flung across the room, dropped on his creaky cot bed, and howled, "Oh, I've been a beast, a beast, a beast! All the pretty things, limousines and marble baths, thinking so much of them and not wanting them for him. And he was so little, with just nothing. He that would appreciate jolly things so much here in this den, and making it as tolerable as he can, and me half ashamed of him instead of fighting for him. I belong with Corey and Betts. Oh, I'm so ashamed, so bitterly ashamed." She patted his bed smooth with nervous, eager fingers. She scraped a pinpoint of egg yolk off a platter. Before she had been home 5 minutes, she had written a note asking him to tea for next day. End of chapter 27.